Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to another live. I don't know what I'm talking about today. Random, just decided to connect, decided to go live late at night. I know a lot of people are going to bed right now. People are tired. They finished their cooking for Shabbat. So here I am again. Felt like I just want to connect. And I'm not sure. By the way, this is a blemish. Somebody thought I had lipstick on my face today. No, that's what happens when you wear a mask. You protect yourself from COVID, but you damage your face from all the wearing of the mask. So we're gonna have to bear with that till it heals. Meanwhile, I'm curious to know, did you guys see the video I posted earlier today or not? Because I'm not sure if Facebook is choosing who gets to see what videos and what streams. So I'm just trying to figure it out. Is it because Facebook is choosing what we see and what we're not seeing? Or because maybe I'm just boring already and everybody's like, all right, girl, stop it. We heard so much of you. Take a chill pill. Don't go on for the next 2 weeks. Let us miss you a little bit. If that's okay too, if that's what it is, that's fine too. I'm still gonna keep talking because I like it. So I'm still here. But I'm just curious to know whether or not it's Facebook selecting or it's truly the fact that people do see it, but they're just not clicking on it. And that's why the engagement is down. I was just curious about that. So I made a video this morning about not pleasing people, right? Not being a people pleaser. And then as I thought about it just now, I thought to myself, it can be a little bit of a confusing topic because if you think about it, we have teenagers. And as parents, we're always telling our teenagers, you can't do this, you can't do that, don't go out with the wrong friends. It's not good to do drugs, don't smoke, it's not healthy for you. So we're constantly educating our teenagers as parents. So it can be a little bit conflicting when we say, don't worry about pleasing people and be yourself. Does that mean that our parents don't have the right to educate us? Even if we're 40 years old or 30 years old, a parent is going to want to tell us, don't do this and don't do that. So at what point do we know when to listen and when not to listen? Because I don't want it to be like, I thought about it, right? It's a very, very important message. And for sure, we want to make sure we are our authentic selves. And for sure, we shouldn't worry about constantly thinking of what people are saying and trying to please people. But at the same time, there is a fine line of sometimes we are not doing the right things. And sometimes we have to be open-minded. If people are truly telling us something from a place of, I'm concerned about you and I care about you and I want to make sure that you're not embarrassing yourself, you're not hurting your reputation, you're not doing something wrong, we should have an open mind and think, well, maybe there is a point of listening to this. So I just thought about that a little bit more. And I said, then where is the fine line? So how are we knowing when to listen, when to not listen, when to go with our dreams, when to know exactly where are we moving, where are we not moving. So that was the trick part. So here's the difference. If a person, for example, is doing something for growth, they want to buy a house, and they're going to people and they're asking people, hey, I want to buy a house. And the people are telling this person, for example, don't buy a house. Do you know how hard it is? You're constantly going to have to pay for repairs, the mortgage. What happens if tomorrow you lose your job? What if you drop dead? Who's going to pay for all these bills? If the person is trying to grow and people are discouraging this person from growth in that aspect, that's the kind of pleasing people that I think is important to differentiate. When you're trying to grow and achieve success and become a better version of yourself, and people are giving you negativity and pushing you away and letting you see all the bad parts about it, then I think it's important to say, wait a minute, that's not a good excuse. Just because if I buy a house, now I have to worry about the repairs. Now I have to worry about what if I lose a job? What ifs? that should stop me. So that kind of growth should not depend on what people are telling us. But if, for example, we truly are doing something that may potentially hurt our reputation, right? Like, for example, I'm going to use a drastic example. You are cheating on your spouse, and somebody, a close friend, found out, and the friend is telling you, listen, what you're doing is wrong. You can lose your reputation, your children, your husband or wife. You know what you're doing? This is wrong. I don't really think, I'm pretty sure, but I'm going to be, I'm going to be generalizing. I think it's safe to say in that aspect, we should listen. We should think to ourselves, what I'm doing is not right. I could potentially lose everything I have. I could lose my family, my reputation. So even though it's important to say, don't please people, don't live for people, also understand there is a fine line. Sometimes there are certain people that teach us how to be wiser, that teach us how to make the right decisions in life. So it's important for every single person to have a mentor for themselves, to have a person that has their own vision. Like, I was talking to a good friend, a few close friends recently, and they were telling me about their challenges of growth. And every single one of them has a different growth. One is on social media. Another one, let's say, is doing something in a business, or another one is a very, very famous lawyer. So very, very famous, prestigious people. And they were afraid to go and grow too far, to open, for example, their own company, or to come out on social media too much, because what they're telling me was, I don't want to be too high up, because if I'm going to achieve too much success, people are going to disconnect from me. My family members are going to stop talking to me because they're going to think, what? She thinks she's all that. She became a big shot now. She thinks she's celebrity now. If something like this happens, that's when I think each one of us has to sit and think to ourselves, if we're going to stop our growth, something in achieving success, because we are worried or we are afraid of becoming too successful, quote unquote, because everyone around us doesn't accept us for our success, that's when I think it's not a good time to listen to anybody. Because you can't stop your success. You can't stop your potential, because you are worried that if you become a successful person, a person who achieved greatness, a person who accomplished so much in their life, for the fact that other people can't watch you grow. Why is that? Why can't they watch you grow? Why can't they be happy for your happiness? Is it because they don't have what it takes? And because they don't have what it takes, they're gonna stop you and you have to fall into it? So then what's gonna happen? 40 years down the road, when you become 55, and let's say that other famous lawyer became a big business person, or that other famous speaker grew and blew up on social media, or that other famous singer is having tons of albums coming out, right? You're gonna sit and be so upset at yourself that you stopped your own growth process. And when you ask yourself, why? And your answer is, because I was too afraid to be successful. I was too afraid to reach the highest potential of my dream. That's not a good answer. So that's when we have to sit and think, who are our mentors? If you want to achieve, let's say you want to be a PA. I'm just using that because I'm a PA. So let's say you want to be a PA. When I was going to PA school, I'm not going to call people who went to college and then they didn't successfully graduate college. Those are not the kind of people I'm going to call for advice, because I already got my answer. They did not successfully graduate college. So whatever answer I'm going to get is going to be a negative answer. So I'm going to call a person who successfully finished PA school. So I'm going to call somebody that I know is a PA for many years, and I'm going to say, hey, I have a question. How did you graduate? I'm sure it was hard. And the person is going to say, of course it was hard. But in the back of my mind, it's like, oh, of course it was hard. But look, she did it. Of course it was hard. But look, she didn't give up. So I too don't have to give up. If you want to buy that house, ask a person who has a house. Don't ask a parent or a sibling or a friend that doesn't have a house. Hey, I want to buy a house. What do you think? Because that kind of person that hasn't achieved that yet cannot lead you in the right path. They cannot give you an example from their own story because they don't have that story of success to share. So you have to be very, very careful who you are asking advice from on a particular topic. And why is that so important? Because many times when you talk to people in the older generations, a lot of them have a lot of regret. But the reason they have a lot of regret is because in the olden times, for women especially, it was restricted. Women didn't have the ability to work, to be heard as a voice, to prosper. And there was nothing wrong with that. It just was the fact that they didn't have that. That back in the days, that wasn't the role of a lady, for example. And a lot of times, if you speak to somebody who always said, I'm not going to go to college. I'm just using that as an example because I want to raise my kids. My kids are very small. They need me right now. Let my husband make money. It's his job to support the family. And then many years passed and the kids graduated. And you talk to those people and what do they say? I wish I went to school when my kids were younger. I wish I had a career. Now, nothing is wrong with the choices they made at that time. It's not a reason to regret your life. It's just for the people who are watching and they're starting this new phase in their life of starting something new, of starting a new journey, of making something that they thought about for a long time to become successful. This message is really for those people. I want to just tell you, if you have something in your mind and you've been dreaming about it and you really have what it takes, or you think you have what it takes, and you're just afraid, you're just not sure, will I succeed? Will people make fun of me? Will I lose a lot of money? Will I like drop out in the middle? The answer is nobody knows. Nobody knows. You can't even answer that question. There's only one way to find out. Go for it. When you go for it, remember something else. When you go for that achievement, you're gonna go through a lot of challenges. You're gonna go through so much hardship in the beginning that it's almost gonna be like, I knew I shouldn't have done this. I knew I shouldn't have done this. Why did I put myself in this position? What was I thinking? I wanna back out, but I'm already too far into it. And that too is normal because you gotta fight through it. It's like when you're on a diet. The first 5 pounds are usually the hardest 5 pounds because that cake is right in front of you and you want to just take a bite into it. The first time you give in and you take a bite and you're like, ugh, I just gave in. Okay, it was only a bite. I didn't eat the whole cake. The next time, again, you take a bite. But the first few times that you don't touch the cake at all and you fight that urge to eat it, then you see the cake, you don't want it anymore. It was the first few times that you had to fight the urge to say, I don't want it. It was hard. You failed in the beginning. Then it's easy. Same thing with growth. When you want to achieve something and the first few times you keep almost failing and almost passing and barely passing, first few times it's very hard. And then what happens? You all of a sudden realize you're succeeding. You're going in the right direction. It's working out for you. And then when you reach that potential and that success, the best thing about it is getting up and sharing your story with the thousands of people who are watching, with the thousands of people who are surrounded by you, not just on social media, let's say even on your job, who you're telling that person, hey, I've been through this. This is not easy. Like Oprah Winfrey, right? We know her as a multimillionaire. And when you hear her story, that she came from nothing and she became this successful lady with an empire, she can now say, I came from nothing and look at me now. But when she was in the position of having nothing, she couldn't share a story. She had no story. So all of us, every single one of us, every single one of you who's watching right now, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you have something and you've really had a passion, I want to write a book. I want to open my own shop. I want to really build that dream house. I want to have X amount of kids. I want to get married because my first marriage didn't work. And you really have that and you really want it, but a voice inside of you is constantly telling you you're not going to succeed. You got to push that voice away. And you got to stop talking to people who are agreeing with you that you're not going to succeed. You got to find for yourself a group of friends who are mentors, who are those pushers that are always pushing you to go in the right direction. And if you don't have such friends, that's when you have to start going and getting coaching, for example, or therapy, or going and talking to a professional, because otherwise you're not going to grow, and it's always going to bother you if you see other people around you achieving what you wanted to achieve. Let me just read a few comments here. Okay, let's see. Okay, I don't know what I just did. Hold on, bear with me. Oh, there I am. Okay. People should, so Milana says, people should grow and be successful. Never listen to others. A lot of people are jealous if others are successful. Milana, I'm going to say something about that right now because I think somebody else also said something very similar. So a few people actually are saying, I hear that a lot, Milana, because a lot of people, when you talk to them, a lot of people are saying that many times people discourage you because of jealousy. And even though it sounds kind of harsh and we don't want to like label people as jealous, but I kind of think there is truth to it. It's not really jealousy where they don't like you as a human being. It's almost like envy. They don't have your skill sets. They kind of wish they had your skill sets. And because they don't have your skill sets, they're upset at themselves for not having what someone else has. So by them discouraging you or putting you down or talking behind your back, they think it's going to make you fall. And that's going to lift up their ego again. So many times when people discourage us, it's not about you, it's about themselves. They don't want somebody to be above them because that hurts their ego. So they're busy gossiping and putting other people down because that's their way of saying, you're good enough. She doesn't have what it takes. Look at her. They're actually like dealing with their own self-esteem issues. Svetlana says, as long as you get lots of support from the husband and family, it's doable. Svetlana, that's absolutely right. I agree with you 1,000%. A support system is very, very, very important, especially if your husband, let's say, that's listening right now, and your wife wants to go to school, for example, and you like, you have to finish. It's very important. Look at you. My friends, their wives have careers. You also have to start working. It's very hard for me. It's very nice if you want your wife to go to college or to achieve something. But if you're not there to support her, and what does support mean? Support doesn't mean you're going to go and take her tests for her. No. Support means you're going to be okay if dinner is not cooked. You're going to be okay if the house is not 100% clean all the time. You're going to be okay making sure the kids are picked up from school, even if it means you have to arrange for that. That's what support means. If a person doesn't support one another and everything is dumped on one person, it's very, very difficult. Now, it's not impossible because I have seen people who don't have support systems, but they somehow still do it. It's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult to achieve anything in life when you don't do it as a partnership and as a unity. Let me see any other comments. Okay. my husband was very good supporter for me to finish college, even though it was very hard with twins. That's great, Svetlana. Very, very nice. Because even that's perfect. Your husband is a real trooper. I'm very, very happy to hear that. Because even with me, I remember, and I share this story a lot. When I was getting married and I didn't have a high school diploma and I was barely finishing high school, and then I had 2 children and I had to go into the physician assistant program. It was very, very hard. There was no way I could have done it if I didn't have my husband's support, my mother's support. There was just absolutely no way mentally that it would be very, very possible. So absolutely, a support system is important. But before you can even get to the support system, again, we're going to repeat, it's even more important my husband is funny. Yes, I know my husband is watching this. It's even more important to make sure you don't surround yourself with the wrong crowd. Because if the wrong crowd of people are pushing you away from doing what you want to do, you won't even get to the point of going to the next step. So before you even go to the step of I want to achieve something, make sure you are dealing with the right group of people. Because if your friends or family members are constantly putting you down, telling you it's not going to happen because it didn't happen for anybody else. Like I got a phone call the other day. By the way, Camila, thank you so much. It's so sweet of you. Thank you very much. I got a phone call the other day from a teenager. Now, I personally love talking to teenagers. I love it with a passion because there's a special place in my heart for teenagers. And I really enjoy it. So I got a phone call from a teenager. I was asked to speak to her because she needed some support. And the way she started talking to me, she said, I want to ask you a question. And I said, sure, what's the question? And she said, I'm not sure if I should be a nurse or a PA. And I said, what would you like to be? And she said, I think she said she wants to be a PA, for example. I don't remember exactly how the conversation went, but it was something like this. But she said, I think I'll stick with nursing. And I said, why? She said, because my family member told me PA is very competitive. People don't go into the program. So because it's so competitive, I don't even want to try. I'd rather go to nursing. And that was the biggest no-no. That was the worst thing someone could have told her. You can't tell somebody not to try to go into the field of their dreams because it's competitive and it didn't work for so many other people. Because you have to stop and say to yourself, how many other people did graduate? How many other people were successful? And then the other thing was, it's very hard to get a job. Well, right, it's hard to get a job, but it's not impossible to get a job. It's hard to maybe be somebody who's Shomer Shabbat and you can't work on the weekends and the hospitals want you to work Friday nights and Saturday nights, but it's not impossible. How many thousands of religious people are in the medical field? They're doing it somehow. So train your mind to look after people who succeed, who accomplish. Don't look at people who fail, who back out, who drop out. It's like, oh, I'm not going to get pregnant because labor is difficult. Well, how many millions of people are living in this world? So some people had to deliver. Somehow babies came out. It's not that many people died from that. So if people can do it, then it's doable. Is it going to hurt? Is it hard? Yes, it's hard. But is the pain and the fear of, oh my God, it's hard, mean that we shouldn't have kids? No, we still go and we still do it. Same thing with success and dreams and achieving our goals. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy. But that doesn't mean we don't go for it and we don't strive and we don't try our best to achieve success. Thank you, Tamarочка. It's very nice. She says, какая ты сладкая, спасибо за твою лекцию, умница. Thank you so much. That's really, really nice of you. That's so true. Lots of friends were putting me down when I decided to go back to school and pursue masters. They are no longer my friends because I've realized that I don't need fake people in my life. That's very true, Camilla. I have to say, I agree with you on that because unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, I've had the same experiences. I have the same experiences, like even being on Facebook right now. People didn't turn away from me, but there were some comments, people unfortunately make very, very not nice comments. And you think to yourself, these are supposed to be people who are your friends. These are supposed to be people who are supposed to support you, who are supposed to uplift you, who are supposed to tell you, not that you always need a pat on the back, oh my God, you're doing a great job. No, there's a way of being constructive and talking from a place of, I care for you, I love you, I only want what's best for you, and from a place of like really shady comments, really shady comments. It's like, why is it so important for you to tell me this comment? Is it because you want to put down my ego? Is it because you don't want me to continue what I'm doing? Is it because I'm growing too much for you? Are we still not friends? Very, very sad to see. And I agree with you on that. Tammy says, I remember those discouraging conversations with friends and families about my career choice. Looking back 14 years later, one of the best decisions I've made was to stick to my guts. Absolutely, Tammy. And I remember those conversations too when I was going into PA school and every single person was warning me, this is going to be so hard. It's almost impossible. You're going to have no life. And I too, was it hard? It was very hard. But luckily I did not listen because I would really regret it if I listened. Yelena says, what you focus on, it will grow. Very true. Put your mind, think positively. And I want to tell you something else, and then I'm going to wrap this video up because my phone is short on battery. I want to tell you something else. Now, it doesn't mean like when I talk to you, right? And I tell you whatever I'm telling you like, don't fall into the negativity. Listen to only inspiring people, be strong, keep doing what you're doing. It's very easy, like it seems that I'm coming from that place of I'm really an expert on this and it's so like I wish I thought like that. Now, no, I'm not an expert by any means when it comes to that. I wish I was. I wish I didn't really care about what people said. I wish I didn't rethink every choice I make in life. I wish I was brave enough to make a decision and to just go for it, but I'm not. I'm really not. And every time that I go on Facebook and I appear to be somebody who is very strong and very confident and, is a go-getter and she must be so like amazing and I'm not, I don't have what it takes. I'm not so confident. She's a powerhouse, right? It's not true. It's really, really not true. And why am I sharing this with you? Because it takes me a lot to come and do what I'm doing. It takes me a lot to not just do what I'm doing, but to stick with it. Like even today, I wasn't really confident doing this live. I didn't just click the live button and decide to talk because I had everything in my mind and I'm so great and I came on and it was so easy for me. It really wasn't. I wanted to speak, but I didn't know what I was going to say. I didn't know if I should even say anything because I posted a video this morning. Is it too many times? Are people going to get tired of me? Are people going to judge me? Are people going to think I'm trying to educate them because I'm so smart and people are not so smart? So it's a constant battle. And not only is it a battle between worrying what other people will say, right? Like we say, don't pay attention, but I pay attention. And that's why I'm telling you, that's why it's so hard. It's worrying about, oh my God, are people judging me? Are people talking about me? Am I too much? And at the same time, already the thoughts in your own mind are so hypocritical and so full of criticism, right? Like when you look at a picture, who's the first person you're going to look at? Yourself. And every single person, there's 10 people in that picture and everybody's just looking at themselves and saying, oh, I look so fat. Oh my God, I look so chubby here. Oh, my shirt's sticking out. Nobody else noticed that. Nobody else. Every single person only noticed their own picture. Meanwhile, we think everybody else notices us, but we're only noticing ourselves. So our biggest enemy, and I say enemy, is us. Even though we blame it on the people around us and say they're jealous, and we say that people don't want what's good for us and they want to bring us down, that may be partially true. But our biggest enemy, our biggest problem is our brain. It's our thoughts. Because our brain legit stops us. It puts all the garbage in our mind to make us rethink what we want to do. And then it keeps reminding us that we're not good enough. We're not capable enough. Nobody wants to hear us. Somebody wants to come to our business. We want to open a pharmacy and somebody's going to come to our pharmacy. Look how many pharmacies are on the block. We want to get married and we want to have a good life, but my first marriage broke and I'm going to be successful on my second marriage. What are the chances? If the first marriage was bad and my first husband was abusive, what are my chances of having somebody who loves me? What are my chances? If my first 3 kids didn't do so well and they flunked all their tests, what are my chances that my next 2 kids are going to be successful? That's it, I'm doomed. There's no point to focus on my next 2 kids. So where is all that coming from? It's coming from our own minds. Our own brain is its worst enemy. Our own minds are what puts us down constantly. So even though we blame people around us, we surrender to the people around us because partially we believe that about ourselves. But if we tell ourselves we're good enough, we're pretty enough, we're smart enough, we're capable enough, then even if people around us are negative, but our mind is so full of positivity and strength and courage, those negativities won't enter, won't penetrate. So the first thing we have to change is here. And I'm working on that every single day. And let me tell you, it's not easy. It's very, very difficult. Every day to rethink to yourself and say, what's the purpose of social media? This is for me. This is my example, okay? You can have your own example. What's the purpose of setting yourself out there and everybody's watching you and everywhere you go, you have to look a certain way and you have to make sure you talk to your kids in a nice way because like, oh my God, you can't scream at your kids anymore. You have to be perfect and your neighbor shouldn't hear you fighting because you're supposed to be perfect. And all these crazy things entering your mind, they put you down. They stop you. But then, this is the battle. You got to just push forward and say, even though it's hard and I'm drowning and I'm about to just, suffocate. Nope, I got to put on my life jacket. I got to go. I got to keep going. And then because I kept going and because I didn't give in to those negative voices, I have to say, I'm proud of the fact of where I came. I'm proud of myself, myself, with my struggles that I have been going through because this is not easy for me. I'm like, wow, I'm actually this far along. People actually do watch. People actually do listen. People actually stop me on the streets and they want to be my friend. And I didn't know that they know me because I don't know them. And to say, I'm so happy that I stuck through it, even though it was so hard, even though I didn't see the point of it. And I thought I was going to be judged. And again, that's my story and that's my example. Whatever it is that you're dealing with, all of you watching right now, you have your story. You want to buy that house. It's not easy. You don't know where the money is going to come from. You're going to be in debt. Don't let that stop you, because in a couple of years, when you buy that house, when you pay the debt, you're going to be so happy and proud to tell another friend, I did it. You can do it. If you are in a college, in a school, and you are so worried and afraid about your debts, about failing a test, maybe you did fail a test, about having children and going through with it, it's hard. It's not easy. Understand that it's going to be hard. Understand that there's going to be challenges. But understand that you can do it. Even if you have to fail, even if you have to retake a course, even if you have to pay a lot of money, you can do it. And at the end of the day, it's the end result that matters. It's not what's happening now that matters. And if you're going through a medical procedure, because we forget about that, it's not just about achieving success, being treated. If there's a diagnosis and you're afraid and you're watching and you got bad news and you're like, what's the purpose? There is a purpose. Just because a lot of other people didn't heal doesn't mean you're not going to heal. Just because a lot of other people didn't have a good experience and didn't have a good doctor doesn't mean you're going to have that situation. So stop overthinking. Stop being so hard on yourself. Loosen up and just say, my experiences are going to be mine. My ending is going to be a happy ending. It's going to be a successful ending. It doesn't matter how many people didn't succeed, because just as many people didn't succeed, many more people did succeed. And I will focus on success rather than on failure. Wow, that was very, very nice. I had a great time doing this live. Thank you all for watching. As always, thank you very much, Liana. You're amazing as well, for watching and for commenting. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody's supports, comments, and feedback. And I wish everybody a very, very good night. Bye, guys.